Hello, my fellow bronies. It is I, Cruz Hooves, bringing you another fanfiction reading. This reading is called The Darkness of Love. Looks like another Spike story here. I'm feeling a little tired. It's 1:58 right now, but I'm gonna get this done. Get this over with, just for you guys. Chapter 1. Memories of Old. The air blew cold at the peak of the mountain, despite it being summer. Small icicles were forming around the grassy areas of the smooth crater that formed the tip of the mountain. 4 dragons resided there at the time. Staring at the frozen grass was a fairly rounded red dragon with a green belly and yellow spines and horns. He flew a waft of smoke just short of the grass and watched as the icicles grew transparent as a coating of fresh water slicked them, causing the grass to look crystallized. Another dragon, thin and bony, rested in one of the sleeping spots, catching the sun's morning rays. His blue scales glistened in the light, adding detail to his scion spines and horns. His body heaved up and down, signifying that any watchers that he was asleep. The third dragon, a female with white scales and dark purple horns and spines, rested on their leader's chair, carved from a tree that once grew there. Her body was wrapped around said leader, whose purple scales shone brightly in the morning light, highlighting his green spines and frills. His eyes were closed as he gently stroked the female's head, his mind elsewhere. The calm and seemingly harmonious state these 4 dragons were in were interrupted as 2 more dragons emerged, one of them carrying something very noisy. "Let me go!" it carried on, swinging its hooves on the approached dragons. The one carrying the now identified pony was another red dragon with similar green spines to their leader. His companion was a yellow dragon with blue spines and frills. "What have you done this time?" the leader spoke, waking his white concubine from her slumber. "We found this," the yellow dragon replied. His friend tossed the pony along the ground, making her roll straight up to the leader, who eyed her suspiciously. She wore a safari hat and clothing. She reminded him of the popular fictitious character Daring Do, only the colors were off. This pony was orange with a purple mane and tail. This put the leader in the mind of a chicken. "Ha! If it isn't a Daring Do wannabe. What are you doing here? You won't host comic conventions up here, little filly." The ponified chicken rose to her feet, her wings fluttering madly, making a buzzing sound. "I'm here looking for my cutie mark," she stated bluntly, the distress and anger apparent in her voice. "Your what?" the white dragoness asked. "Her cutie mark. The mark that represents a pony's greatest talent, which can be seen on their flanks. In short, this little filly is searching for her purpose in life." The surrounded dragons all nodded as this information was added to their small archive of pony knowledge. "Then I guess that she should get a dragon's mouth, because she's going to be dinner." The blue one had awoken in time to hear his leader's statement. The others laughed, causing the little filly to shake on the spot. Only the leader seemed calm and composed as he eyes their dinner with a trained, analytical gaze. "No," he began, causing the others to halt their laughter. "This filly would even hit the sides of either of her stomachs. She'd be wasted effort, especially divided between the 6 of us." The other 5 dragons groaned in disappointment. The leader flexed his claw hand, loosening the muscles and joints with a few loud cracks. "Escort her back to Ponyville," he commanded. As the other dragons went to approach the filly, she addressed him once more. "How do you know I was from Ponyville?" she asked, The two dragons halted their approach and looked to their leader for both an answer and a command to continue. "It doesn't matter," he said after a moment's hesitation. He waved his hand to the two, motioning them to continue. Before they could grab her, the filly shot towards the purple dragon, halting as a waft of flame brushed her nose. "Spike, is that you?" she demanded. All the dragons froze where they were, the white one raising her head. "How did she know your name, boss?" the red one asked, long since distracted from his grass. The white one gave a revolted expression. "Oh, God, you're no a pony hatched, are you?" she asked. Spike's eyes flashed green and red, and a dark purple aura escaped from out the sides. His scales lost their shine and darkened. "Is that a problem, Scalia?" Spike's voice deepened and became distorted, flanged, and mechanized. Scalia drew back, lowering her head back into Spike's lap. No, sir," she whimpered, clearly regretting her outburst. The orange filly grew excited. "Spike, it is you! You're alive! Oh, we all thought you died. You left Ponyville with no explanation. Twilight and Rarity looked for you for 2 years. Why'd you leave?" Spike's scales returned to normal and blinked once, dissipating the green and red color. "Like I said, Scootaloo, it doesn't matter." The purple dragon noticed his companion loosening her grip around him, but said nothing of it. "But it doesn't make any sense. Why leave? Weren't you happy with us? We missed you." Spike recalled what it was that made him leave, and his mood grew darker than his appearance. "Leave us," he called out. Every dragon, including Scalia, shot out of sight as fast as their legs and wings can get them. Scootaloo watched as the last dragon shot over the edge of the crater at a speed that could leave Rainbow Dash in the dust. She turned back to her old friend, who had grown immensely since she had last seen him. She approached him more casually, daring to hug him as she occupied the spot Scalia had once been. Spike negated to return the hug, but allowed her to continue. "I don't understand. What makes you leave? Did Rarity reject you or something? Because if she did, then you might be happy to know that she clearly regretted doing so." Spike sighed, recalling the night he departed with Pony Civilization. "No, she didn't reject me. I suppose you could say I didn't give her a chance to." "Why not? Did you wimp out on confessing your love for her or something?" Spike chanced a huff of amusement. "I always wimped out. But this wasn't why I left," he replied. Scootaloo squeezed her friend tightly, enjoying the familiar feel of scales. There was a long pause, covering the dragon's peak in silence, save for the gust of wind that promised cold on Scootaloo's surface. She leaned into her friend, using him as a shield from the cold. "Then why did you leave us, if not because of Rarity?" she asked, breaking the silence. Spike replied with a sigh that looked up to the sky. "It had something to do with Twilight. That's all I'm saying on the matter." He leaned back in his wooden throne and finally resigned to hugging Scootaloo, who enjoyed the affection. "You've grown so much in 3 years. I knew you for 2 years and you barely changed. The next 3 years and you grew an inch. How did this happen?" she asked, changing the subject. Spike chuckled. "You still don't read, do you?" The orange filly shook her head. With an amused sigh, Spike looked straight ahead. A dragon's growth rate matches that of his peers. Star Swirl the Bearded recorded the growth rate of a dragon-hatched dragon, like the others I rule over, and a pony hatched like me. He stated that very quote in his book. In short, it means when I'm around ponies, I age as fast as they do, and when I'm around dragons, I age as fast as they do. Funnily enough, we reach maturity pretty quickly. but then the aging just slows to a crawl, and then we live for thousands of years. Had I been born around the same time as Princess Celestia and Luna, I imagine I'd lived them. Scootaloo's jaw dropped as she realized what he was saying. So you'd live longer than any pony you lived around them? Yes, but I'd also live longer than any dragon if I lived around ponies. Scootaloo clopped her hooves together much like Twilight used to when she got an idea. Maybe I should live around dragons. My lifespan would double then, right? Spike laughed hard, bouncing Scootaloo up and down in his lap. It doesn't work like that, Scoots. If anything, living around dragons will give you grays in your teen years. Scootaloo whined as she leaned back into him, causing the dragon to laugh once more. You know I'm 13 now, she stated. Spike smiled down at her. Not a filly at all, then. You're a young mare. Scootaloo nodded. Which is why I'm so desperate to get my cutie mark. The Crusaders are still searching after 7 years. Spike almost jumped out of his seat. All 3 of you searching? Jeez, I would have thought at least one of you would have gotten your cutie marks by now. The young mare nodded sadly. Well, you won't find them out here. Ponies don't belong in dragon territory. Unlike you guys, my kind aren't exactly very accepting of other species. We've had to exterminate some griffins every now and then because they're territorial and they believe this mountaintop is theirs. I imagine to convince the others to let Gilda go once or twice. Huh? How is Gilda? Dash says she hasn't heard from her in a while. Spike recalled the latest encounter with the rebel griffin. She's kinda depressed. I think losing Dash as a friend has hurt her more than her pride will allow her to show. Other than that, she's still got an attitude. Scootaloo giggled at this. She then asked the question Spike wanted to hear the least. Are you ever coming back to Ponyville? The purple dragon dug into the wooden throne, taking large strips or wood with his talons. I can't, he replied. Scootaloo began her assault. Why not? Not even to visit? What's wrong with you? Spike rose to his feet, throwing Scootaloo across the ground. I refuse to return because it's my choice and I hurt every time I think of that place. Now go home, Scootaloo. Scootaloo refused his order and went to charge him. As she leaped at his head, Spike's eyes returned to the scary green and red. The purple aura leaked out of his eyes. He took a deep breath and blew a plume of violet fire at her. Scootaloo screamed and covered her face, then felt nothingness. Spike sat down and crossed one leg over the other. His dark mood or figure didn't dissipate like last time. Instead, he growled in that flamed voice. Scalia and the others popped their heads out from the edges of the crater. They slowly crept up before their leader, their bodies as low as the ground they could get. The red one dragged a bit of groove in the dirt as he crawled. Is it over, Spike? The purple dragon looked at his concubine and hugged. Yes. Go about your business. Pretend this morning never happened. The 2 dragons who had brought Scootaloo to him flew off in search of another meal. The blue and red dragons began a wrestling match with each other to pass the time, and Scalia slowly took her place at Spike's side, keeping her eyes on Spike to make sure he wasn't against her actions. She rested her head on his lap again, scratching her nose as the smell of ponies filled her sinuses. Back in Ponyville, the elements of harmony were planning out their day together. As it had been a month since they all had a coinciding-free day on their calendars, business with weather control had kicked up this year, and Rainbow Dash was busy redirecting the weather to her teams. The library was busier than it used to since Spike was no longer around to help. Rarity's boutique had made a lot of sales in preparation for the Grand Galloping Gala, which they all received an invitation to. Fluttershy had become somewhat famous to the animals in nearby forests, and her aid was required on a regular basis for more animals than she knew what to do with. The Apple family was acquired another few acres to their property, and attending those extra apple trees, Applejack busier than a beaver on a dam, as she put it, and Pinkie Pie was focusing her attention on assisting the cakes and sugar cube court. So, we're just about ready to go. I know I'm not looking forward to getting underway. I feel like we've been separated for so long, and that can't be very good for friendship, can it? Twilight asked. I don't know, Twi. I figured that the bonds of friendship are tightly knit early on, they can last forever, no matter the distance. Applejack piped in. Well said, darling, Rarity complimented, smiling sweetly at the farm pony. And with that, perhaps we should be off. Our picnic will last longer if we get there ahead of schedule. The ponies cheered excitedly as they made their way to the door to exit the library. As Twilight went to move, a flash of violet emerged in front of her, and Scootaloo popped into existence, falling on the coffee table. Scoots? Rainbow Dash piped up. What are you doing? And how do you manage to teleport? The 6 ponies looked at the shaking young mare, who brought her hoof from her face and looked around. I'm alive? Oh, thanks Celestial! I'm fucking alive! She began to grow into hysterics as she laughed at her second chance at life. It took the pony several minutes to calm her down enough for her to get a workable sentence out. Scootaloo, what exactly happened? The orange pony began to recant her daring-do-like adventure to her peers. Darling, that's all very amusing, but I doubt you'd be there if 2 dragons took you away, Rarity called the fib. That's the thing! I thought it was dead meat when they took me to this strange mountain with the top blown off. They brought me before their leader, who turned out to be Spike. What? All 6 mares screamed at her. Scootaloo cringed back and nodded. It's true! Spike's the leader of a small group of dragons. He's even got himself a mare friend. Or maybe it's a dragon friend. She looked a bit like you, Rarity. Rarity drew back from the group and began to consider how this news affect her. But Spike is alive and well? Twilight urged. Scootaloo nodded. He's living like a king. Got 5 other dragons under his thumb, including the Rarity dragon. He's come across Gilda a few times, fending her and her kind off their territory. Rainbow Dash took interest in that last bit of knowledge. Did you mention how she was? She said she was still full of attitude, but I think she misses your friendship, Rainbow. Rainbow Dash did as Rarity had done and considered the news she was given. Did he say why he left? Twilight urged. Scootaloo shook her head. All he said was it had something to do with you and not Rarity. He wouldn't give me any more than that. The ponies looked at Twilight for confirmation, but she was confused as they were. What did I do? Have I been mistreating him again? I hate him when I do that. No. I distinctly remember him smiling at me before he left. So he wasn't upset with me. What could I have done? Did I say something that made him consider his life choices? Twilight began to yell at herself as she worked in her mind what she could have done to cause Spike to leave. Why didn't he say goodbye? Did he think we'd try and look for him again? Because we did that anyway. Scootaloo, why don't you come with us on the picnic and tell us more about Spike? Fluttershy suggested. I'd love to, Fluttershy. Thanks!